Alright, this is my test 2 wrapper for Physics 2211, and the question I did the worst on was problem 3, equilibrium, where I got 12 out of 25 points. So I actually already did all of the work, and I'm just going to walk through it here, because I didn't want to do the work, struggle through it while So this is what was given, is that there's this mass, and there's the string with tension, there's the springs, and they're all the same. They all have the same initial length, and they all have the same stiffness, and this one is stretched, but we don't know if these are stretched or compressed. So the first part asked for what is the effective spring force of these two, which I just named S2 and S3, and this one's S1. Because they're in parallel, I did correctly say that K would equal 2K. So that was 5 out of 5 points. The next part is what I did pretty bad on. I got 2 out of 10 on this. So here's my free body diagram, where here's the mass, here's the force of tension, this is gravity, this is F of S1, where it's given that this is theta. And so because this is theta, this is also theta, because I don't know the name of the theorem, but it is. And then these are the two springs, which could also just be put as one force, but I just drew them both. Okay, so I did correctly set it to F naught equals 0, but then since we're trying to find tension, and tension only goes in the y direction, I didn't need the x components for t. So I shouldn't have included these at all because they have no vertical, and then I didn't need to include the x component of this, but I did need to include, obviously, tension, the y component of this, and then gravity. So this is the correct work, where F naught y is going to be F S1 sine of theta, because we're trying to find the y value of this. So that's the opposite of this angle, which would be sine. And then plus t plus force of gravity is 0, which is correct as you set F naught equals to 0 because it's in equilibrium. So then force of gravity is going to be mg in the negative y direction, which is going to be negative mg. The force of the spring 1 is negative k 3L0 minus L0 sine theta in the positive y direction. The 3L0 is a given, that's how much it's stretched. So then when you multiply that out, that becomes this, and then you have, when you rearrange it, it just becomes all of this, and the negative goes away, and the negative goes away. So this is the correct answer. So for part 3, I got 0 out of 5 on this. So this was asking for, what I needed to do was get it in the F net and x direction, because it wanted to know how much force that put. So I did correctly set them equal to each other, and I got that this is this, but it should have just been only the x part, because this only goes in the x direction, and so this is irrelevant, and it should be 0, so it should just be x hat rather than having all of that. It's because there is no force exerted on the block by the horizontal springs in the y direction. And then it's stretched because this is x hat, not negative x hat. So yeah. So then for part 4, I got 5 out of 5, which, I mean, technically I was a little wrong, but it's because I used my stuff from part 3. But that was a point of error, and so they didn't penalize for that, thankfully. But so what I did was, this is Fs, and so then when it equals the spring force, I did get a little bit confused. It just so happened to kind of work out for my thing, because I had the 2's. So in my original answer I had a 2 in there, because I didn't realize that this should be negative 2k, even though I literally said that it was 2k up here, but that was kind of a womp womp. And this video isn't very long because I already did all of the work, so I was just walking you through. So yeah.